Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bunny Zine BZCast. I'm your host, Randy. This is, of course, the podcast, the BunnyZine.com podcast. I was really anxious and excited to record a show today, and it happened to work out that my guest and I were able to reschedule a show for today's recording. We're recording this on February 17th, 2016. I'm very excited to to record because I love doing the show, and it's been a couple of weeks. And drum roll, we got a new microphone to improve the quality of the show. It is a Blue Snowball Ice microphone. Blue's like the top quality, I guess I could say that, one of the top quality microphones out there. So this should record pretty well. It is not the best one. There's one called like the Blue Yeti. That one's like the best one on the market, but that one is like almost 3 times as expensive. So that one we might upgrade to that top one in the future. But this, the Blue Snowball Ice, from a couple of like test recordings that I've done so far, just talking to myself, should record really nicely. So I'm excited for that. I was pretty pumped when I bought it when we got it from Best Buy. So a quick shout out to Dustin for helping me do the research on microphones. We were messaging each other back and forth on reviews of this microphone, that microphone, blah, blah, blah. A couple of quick things before I bring in my guest. I will actually be doing a recording on the 18th, which doesn't matter because by the time you'll hear this, it'll be way past the 18th, about 2 major topics that kind of popped up in my head over the last week or so. One topic is children with bunnies. Some people's overall experiences and ideas. We had a little bit of an experience over the weekend in my home with a child and a bunny. It wasn't a bad one, but I just wanted to overall share with you guys. And the second topic is pet stores. That is more so to share like some rage on pet stores. I went to one over Valentine's Day weekend. It's actually within a mile of my house. I knew it was always there, but I didn't know bunnies were in there. My wife and I just happened to walk in, and I walked out wanting to get the bunnies out there and all the animals out there and blowing up the place because it was, just the conditions were not good, and the kind of care they were given wasn't good. But I will share that. I will go deeper into those 2 topics in the next recording. That'll be a solo guest-free recording. Particularly into those 2 topics, we had a poll going on our Twitter, at official BZine on Twitter, going with those 2 topics. And people did vote and on the poll to share their opinions. So that was pretty cool. Trying to think of anything else. Dustin got the crazy news of having another litter of 8 babies kind of just show up with the already family of 5, I believe. But again, you guys came through with helping Dustin out because, as I'm saying this today on the 17th, some of the bunnies that he currently has, he was able to either get to rescues, or I'm not sure if they were given to rescues or adoption, but either way, it's a big stress release off of him, to help him figure out where he's going. And he did a post. I know I did a post on the House Rabbit Society group page on Facebook. He did a post on with Bunny Zine's Facebook page. So I'm glad that is going in the right direction and working out for him. And I'm glad you guys, because a ton of people shared it to try to help us. So I am thankful, and I'm sure Dustin is thankful as well, that the Bunny Zine community, the bunny community, helped us out there. Trying to think if there's anything else. So again, another recording coming up that will be probably a couple days released after this. I like to split them up at least 4 or 5 days apart when they're this close, when I record them this close together. So maybe you'll probably see this recording maybe on like the 22nd or 23rd, and then you'll see my the recording on the 18th, more towards the end of February. I don't know, between the 25th and 28th, somewhere in that range. like to spread them apart a little bit, give you guys a little bit more time to listen to it. Again, we're on YouTube.com, we're on Soundcloud.com, and we are on iTunes Podcast. Subscribe to any of those. That helps. Share it when we post it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. The social media pages, we are just Bunnyzine on Facebook. We are at Official Bzine on Twitter, and we are at Official Bunnyzine on Instagram. We just went over 300 followers on Twitter this morning, I believe, or last night. This morning or last night. So awesome. Thank you for following us, everyone. If you're on Twitter, give us a follow. We try to share a lot of stories on there, and just, posts that we have on Facebook, we also post on Twitter. Same thing with Instagram. We have become way more active. I made it a point to be more active on Instagram with our followers, and, more active with our followers, with like talking back and forth, having conversations on the pictures and posts and so forth. So again, at Official Bunnyzine on Instagram. Okay, I talked way longer than I thought I would in the beginning. I got my guest on hold. My guest is named Debbie. She is with don'tdumprabbits.org. We did have a little piece of this website in our February issue. I think it was like a paragraph or two, and we're going to dive deeper into that. Again, before I bring her in, make sure you download our February issue with the Love Buttons, Tiff & Co. They're some of my favorites pages. They're one of my favorite pages to see posts on with the Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. They're on the cover, so go to bunnyzine.com, look for the February 2016 issue, download that. The sponsored or the rescue for this month to donate towards, if you can, is Las Vegas House Rabbit Society. So if you can, donate towards them to help them out. And that's it. That's over 7 minutes. I told my guest it'd be a couple minutes. Whoops. So again, my guest is Debbie with don'tdumprabbits.org. And Debbie, how you doing?
I'm just doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. We exchanged emails, but I emailed you maybe a month or two ago when I saw it, and then you got back to me. We had to reschedule because of like a phantom phone issue, but it's not the first time. It's happened. It's happened mostly on my end than with anyone else's end. So I'm glad you were able to come on today, and I just want you to start off our show, this part of the show, with, what's your background, with bunnies?
Okay. I can talk about bunnies at any time, so it's okay to cancel and reschedule. My background in rabbits began probably, I'd say, 1995. And I was working at the time as an occupational therapist in a psychiatric hospital. And I thought that we needed a pet so the patients would have an animal to interact with. And I was given a rabbit. Now, I knew virtually nothing about rabbits except what people think, that they eat carrots. And I started a journey with that rabbit. I named her Rosebud. And she has sort of been my guide and was my mentor when she was alive. So I eventually became an educator and a foster person for the National House Rabbit Society. And for a few years, I had a satellite in conjunction with the Colorado House Rabbit Society. At a later point, I decided to switch careers, and I took a position at Best Friends Animal Society in Utah, and I became the manager of their rabbit and small animal department for the next 9 years. So that's my background in rabbits. I'd say I'm semi-retired at this point, but my passion for rabbits and my mission is closely tied with the things I do in my life now.
Oh, that's awesome. To keep on going and keep not only just
Yes,
caring, but keep actively working in the field, and in
hmm
different kinds of ways. But it still helps, even
yes,
after retirement.
yes, it certainly does. And there's so much to be done that we can work. I can work on this the rest of my days, and so can many other people. So there's lots to do.
Yeah, there is it never ends, right?
Right. That's right.
So when it comes to the website, I can't. You know what? I think it was the Rabbit Advocacy Network that posted it on their Facebook page, and they posted like before your website was open, they posted like the Batman ish billboard sign.
Yes. Yes.
That's also on your guys' website.
hmm
Can you go into detail of like how that? I don't know. That's just pretty cool to me. I'm a superhero nerd, so while being a bunny person, how did that sign come to be? How did that idea come to be?
Well, I wanted to have a sign that spoke very loudly to people about rabbits. And I thought, well, why not try something superhero like? So I contacted a friend who does continue to work for Best Friends Animal Society as one of their computer graphics folks. And he was kind enough to pro bono do a sign for me. I told him what I wanted and what I wanted to say, and he came up with this really cool design. So that's how I ended up with the sort of superhero figure holding a bunny. And the message that I started with is that rabbit abandonment is against the law. And I named it don'tdumprabbits.org. And I also have on that sign help and info. So that's kind of how the sign came about. And that sign I originally wanted to use for a campaign to raise money that would purchase billboards and signage to let people know that abandonment of any animal is now against the law in all 50 states. I wanted to focus on rabbits and in particular the city of Las Vegas, which has a large number of community domestic rabbits, as well as many, many in the overcrowded shelters.
That's actually I'm glad you brought up Las Vegas because I was curious because the in our February issue of the Bunnyzine issue, it was like right next to the description. The article about the Don't Dump Rabbits website was right next, like attached pretty much to the section of the Las Vegas House Rabbit Society.
Yes.
So when it comes, I was actually there in September. So this also like sparks my curiosity because I can say I was actually there for a few days in Vegas. It was a post wedding honeymoon for three or 4 days. Now that with that type of environment, that's got to be even more, I would say, dangerous because of the weather. I mean, there's no grass like at all. Like every people that live like in suburban, I guess you could say housing have like the fake grass going in the front yard.
Right.
So
Right.
I can't imagine the. I mean, a stray out there anywhere is bad, but in intense heat, it was September and it was over 100 degrees.
Yes.
I came I
And
came
you.
I came back to Chicago and it was like 55 and raining. Um,
You are right. You're exactly right about the environment and the conditions of the environment that the Las Vegas rabbits are living in. Uh, just so you will, to update you, there are probably at least 3 colonies or herds or I call them groups of community rabbits in Las Vegas that I know of, and one is quite large. over 1,000, it's estimated. There is another 300 to 400 rabbits at a golf course, and there is another high school with a colony of community rabbits, domestic bunnies, that are living there. And this certainly does not count all those that are in rescue, in shelters. The Nevada SPCA probably has, I'm kind of taking a guess here, but I would say they probably have 300 rabbits in their shelter right now.
Oh my gosh.
So the problem in the Las Vegas area is huge, and that city is not alone. There are many cities that have comparable problems, but I would say it certainly is at the forefront of having a huge crisis with their domestic rabbit population and abandoned rabbits.
So is it, I mean, I'm trying to think of an explanation of this, and the only thing I can think of is that there is, like, you know, rabbits that aren't spayed or neutered that are abandoned, and then they're, you know, mating and kind of growing in population. But you named off like almost 2,000, like, you know, nearly 2,000 rabbits in, you know, in 3 different groups. That are, I don't even know how they survive those conditions. I mean, what do they eat? What do they drink? You know, outside of rainwater. I don't even know.
It's a difficult existence for them, and it's a cruel existence as well. They survive. I would say they survive because they have large litters. And domestic rabbits can become pregnant the day that they give birth. So you have a rabbit that's reproducing maybe once a month, if the conditions are right, and having litters of 10 to 12, maybe at a time. So what you don't see is the many, many that don't make it, the many that starve, that are hit by cars, that are eaten by predators. But because their reproduction rate is so high, if the conditions are right, the rabbits will eventually multiply and then multiply again. So the cycle continues. Las Vegas is particularly rough. You're right, there is not much grass. There's very little water. There's incredible heat conditions. I mean, these rabbits will try and dig underground to get away from the heat. But in general, they have very little protection. Domestic rabbits are related to European wild rabbits, which live in warrens that are underground. But these bunnies have had a lot of those instinctual behaviors bred out of them. When they're dumped, they really don't know what to do. People are leaving them without a home to go to, without a safe spot, without knowing where resources are or where predators might lurk. So it's a very unfortunate situation, and it is pretty amazing, but they do... some colonies do manage to become quite large.
I don't know how to explain it. I mean, with only being there a couple of days, I mean, I wish I would have known. I don't know what I could have done in that short time frame with, you know, flights and all that booked, but wow, at least make a couple visits or something because all these, like Las Vegas HRS, for example, I would assume that they're pretty full, or, you know, the rescues in the area are pretty full.
Yes.
Is that part of it? Is that like there's not that many rescues in the area? Because you named about 3, right?
There are not many rescues in the area. There are groups that are trying to help these rabbits. So there are people out there, but there are too many rabbits for all those bunnies to find good and safe homes, or even to be brought into a shelter. Even if there was room, they might sit in that shelter for a long time before adoptions. So it becomes a significant, to me, it's a community problem. And these rabbits don't want to be there. They were dumped there, and I believe it's up to us as a community to really work on this and explore outside-the-box ways that we can give these rabbits some sanctuary, some quality of life, safety, and care.
I mean, I think you could really treat it like a, I don't know what the exact term is called, but whenever they have a, what's the word I'm looking for? When someone, like a hoarder, when someone has, like, I think it happened in Georgia sometime last year where someone had like 200 and a bunch of different rescues in the country kind of, each took some, to help out, like Georgia's House Rabbit Society and the, the animal control places down there. I wonder if that kind of effort could be done if the community kind of reaches out to a bunch of different rescues. I'm trying to think of places around like Colorado, rescues in Colorado where it wouldn't be like too long of a travel for others, rescues in other states to come make that trip or, meet halfway.
Right. And that certainly that's done all the time. There are people that are devoted to transporting rabbits from one end of the country to another if there's space and shelter for that rabbit. If they can provide that, they will. I would say the effort is tremendous. What has happened in the last 20 years, mainly starting with House Rabbit Society and then many, many organizations and rescues after that, have just put life's work into helping the rabbits. The problem is there's still too many rabbits for us to find good placement for. So we're still working on that through educational efforts and looking at alternative types of care for them to help out. And sanctuaries and rescues are generally very, very full. And when a case comes up, like in Georgia, where they're already at capacity in their rescue, their foster homes are filled, and then they get a call from maybe local animal control or whoever, and all of a sudden there's 200 more rabbits. So it takes everybody, and we all need to be together on this and come up with some good solutions and good education and keep on this road to help the guys.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna take a giant team effort, and I'm glad though to hear that there are people, groups of people out there that are trying to make a difference and help these bunnies out.
Absolutely, there absolutely is. Let me tell you about one experience I had, and it was the experience that really changed my life and sealed my compassion for these abandoned and community rabbits. When I worked at Best Friends, I had a call as manager of the department from a woman who was very ill, and she said, I thought she said that she had 80 rabbits.
Oh,
and
wow.
They were going to be taken in by animal control probably when she died, because her family didn't want anything to do with them, and there just wasn't for them anywhere, and so forth. Well, as we talked and continued to talk, she said that one day that there were 800. So I thought, well, that's a big difference from 80.
Yeah.
So I was sent with a photographer from Best Friends in southern Utah to Reno, where this person lived, and she indeed had well over 1,000 rabbits that were free roaming on 1 acre of property, which also had 3 homes on it, small mobile homes on it.
Oh, wow.
And that's where she lived. So she had these rabbits on her property for probably, I think it was around 18 years. And they were not spayed and neutered. They had minimal care, because you can imagine it was very expensive for her. So they lived primarily on hay. They kept multiplying. Some of them made it, some of them certainly did not. But we did work with her as an organization and took 1,250 rabbits from her backyard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so these guys we set up in another area outside of Reno, and they were all spayed and neutered. But by the time they were all spayed and neutered, we were well over 1,400. So we had lots of babies there as well. But we worked, the organization did a wonderful job, worked with teams, and those rabbits, some of them came to live at Best Friends and lived out their lives in sanctuary care, and others were adopted around the country. And we did emphasize on adopting groups of rabbits, because obviously, one bunny at a time is going to take a long time. And these rabbits were not so used to people, and their preference was to be with other rabbits. So we did adopt out as groups. But that was a huge effort. It cost a tremendous amount of money. We were just fortunate that the funds were raised for this, and we were able to really make an impact and difference in those over 1,000 rabbits' lives. So that's sort of an extreme case.
Yeah.
However, those cases do come up, and most rabbit rescues and organizations and individuals do not have that kind of resource. So it makes it especially hard for them to come up with ideas and plans and money and to raise funds to help community rabbits.
Yeah, I can't imagine 1,400 or 1,500 bunnies.
No.
I mean, you gotta be the best network person that and contacting other shelters and rescues and HR house rabbit societies, etc., to help them all out. And that's a awesome job that you guys did.
It was, and it took a large team of people, and it took cooperation really from all around the country, from other rescues and individuals and people who were kind and donated, and they it was a big job, and we did it. We did the best we could. We learned a lot. They taught us a lot. I will say that I had personally never seen so many rabbits in my life. And when I walked around to the back of her property and stood on her porch and looked out on a very crowded yard with dilapidated structures all over the place and mud and water running, and saw these rabbits, I knew I would never be the same. I just took a deep breath of kind of commitment. Thought, okay, here we are. We're going to do what's in front of us.
Yeah, I can't imagine that sight. I mean, probably the closest thing I've seen that, not even close to 1,200. Probably like, I don't know, maybe 100 is like one of those fairs, those carnival shows where it's not really even like a carnival. It's just like a small fair with some rides. They'll have like tents set up with different animals in cages, and there's always one like it's always like an hour drive into like the more country part of Illinois, but it's cages and cages of rabbits, and most of them are like used for show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's they're all in the same thing, whether they're dwarf rabbits or whether they're Blemishes or they're all in the same size cage.
Yes.
So yeah, that was always infuriating to see for me. And there was another. It was like a reptile show that it was like advertised as in another place about maybe 45 minutes out from where I live, and this I want to say rancher or farmer had them in like these very, very tiny cages that were completely rusted out, and it was one of those things where I just paid $10 to walk in here and I'm about to walk out.
Yeah, that's really tragic. Rabbits are prey animals, and when they are confined that way and frightened, they are traumatized. It's very stressful for them, and it's a cruel and inhumane way to treat a sentient creature.
Yeah,
a sentient being.
It's I hate seeing those things. I haven't gone to that event since, and
No.
same thing with the fairs. I mean, it's not like the people at the fairs complete fault. It's the people running those those animal shows that are keeping those rabbits in those conditions. So it's
Right,
just
and that. Oh, go ahead. Excuse me.
no, it's just one of those things where you just and then people that don't have never had a rabbit, and I probably saw it like that a few years ago, where I didn't see it as a big deal. I was like, oh, they're sitting in cages, they're fine. And then it kind of takes that, when you do your research, when before you get a rabbit, and then when you get a rabbit, you're like, wow, they were in some bad conditions. They definitely don't have enough space.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I mean, their wild cousins can travel quite far away from their warren to get food and nutrition, and they are creatures that are made to move.
Yeah.
Being in a small cage is cruel. It's very cruel. We don't do that with our cats and our dogs. And, they're, of course, dogs are sometimes still kept in chains, and cats can be left outside in the cold. However, rabbits are often get all of this left out in the cold in small cages without any attention or company, anything to play with, without proper nutrition. So it can be very sad. Especially, and a lot of times the person who maybe wins a rabbit at a fair is not at all aware of the rabbit needs. I mean, these folks are not handing out brochures whenever somebody gets a rabbit and says, this is how you take care of it. They're just left on their own.
Not at all. I mean, to think about it, I never really got paperwork up until I took my first bunny, Milo. He passed over a year ago, but without adopting him, and my wife was already pretty knowledgeable with rabbits with having one or two when she was a teenager. It introduced a lot of things to me, and it made me do the research, but we never got pamphlets on the kind of care we up until we went to a 24-hour animal hospital. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, not even there. It was one of his first vet visit, and with us at least, and we got a pamphlet, and it was HRS Chicago, and it was with their stamp of approval on it, I guess, of what to eat, They should have, really, really big cage or be free range, that kind of thing. Just like a giant packet. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know there was this much that went into it. And
Yes,
for
that's true. And people are, I do believe most people are very well intended. And sometimes when you find out these things and you do your research, it's like, wow, I wish I would have known that. And, and change. But one thing that people can do in the case of, like, speaking of the rabbits given away at fairs or used as prizes for things, they could let their city government know, or whoever it is that looks at the ordinances and what people need to follow, and protest and demand that either that the selling of them is stopped, or that certainly there is some kind of care instructions given. It's only a start, but it's a good start, and many rabbits don't get that.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere when it comes to, there's different ways to handle every different situation that comes up. Yeah, that's a really good point. I have noticed, though, that with just over the last few years, since I've had bunnies, I've only had I didn't have a bunny in the house or on the in the residence for maybe 6 or 7 months. That was due to, as I've told my audience before, due to like buying a house and getting married. So like a ton of other stuff got in the way, but like I've still, like, with Bunny Zine and the House Rabbit Group Society, always, like, been a part of at least paying attention of what's going on in the community and in, the bunny world.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've all contributed so much, and there are thousands of rabbits whose lives have been greatly improved, and so many people that have learned about the joy of having them and just how to accept them and learn what the expectations are, and so it's a learning curve. So the work that has been done has been fantastic, and good for you that you cared enough to do research and to find out. That's super.
Yeah, I also got really lucky that my first bunny, Milo, who was a Flemish, was like super awesome. So, yeah, I got really lucky. I talk about him all the time in previous episodes. He was completely inspirational for what I do now and everything I do now with when it comes to bunnies. So yeah, for some people it takes that first adoption and kind of like learning on the fly,
Right.
Which would have been me if it hadn't for my wife not knowing what she was already doing, So that's that.
But you had your heart in a good place, and that we learn from them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We can't beat ourselves up too much for not knowing what we were supposed to do. So, if I could tell you a little bit about the Don't Dump Rabbits site, I would like to do that, if that's okay.
Yeah, I was actually just about to go right into it. I know we were sidetracked a little bit, but
that's okay. It's all great stuff to talk about.
I did want to dive in with the Las Vegas stuff, and I'm glad that we did. So, when it comes to the website, what was the inspiration with the website?
Okay, what happened was I decided that I would like to do a crowd raise campaign to raise money so that I could purchase billboards and signage beginning with the rabbits in Las Vegas to let, with my superhero kind of banner up there to attract. I thought that'd be a great one to attract attention and get a nice, loud, clear message out there. So that came first. It actually came before the website. So I am affiliated with the non-for-profit Las Vegas chapter of the House Rabbit Society. So we're partnering and working together on this. And our goal is not only to help the rabbits in the Las Vegas area, but to help rabbits everywhere. The material on this site can be used by other groups, by individuals. You can have this material to put up your own signage, to send out brochures. It's there to be a help. So I started the Crowdwise campaign with the goal of trying to raise $5,000 to get some billboard space. So I'm working on that. We're making some progress, and we're hoping to see some of this signage up in the Las Vegas area and elsewhere, wherever we're looking for donated signed space that is available for nonprofits. And Marie Perez is very diligently working on that particular aspect of the campaign. So I made this campaign, and I thought, you just can't have a campaign. You need to make a little bit more, and let's talk about, we need to have a website that talks about and teaches people what to do when they come across a group or a colony of domestic rabbits. They're out there trying to make it on their own, that have been abandoned, that have been dumped. What do you do? Where do you start? So that's why I developed the website, and I have several things on here that I'm adding to all the time. So besides the home page, there are resources on here. There's care information, there's news, there's other information about fundraisers, information about other rescue groups and what they did whenever they took care of a large colony of rabbits, how they fed them, how they housed them. So I've tapped into people in Canada and in the United States that had this kind of situation come up and what they did. And that's what kind of information I want to get out there and I want to support. So that's how the website came about after the campaign was started. And then we also have a Facebook page as well.
And the Facebook page is just like Don't Dump Rabbits?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, it is. It is. And I have some good things coming along from other people who have been in large-scale animal rescue, rabbits in particular, and I've been encouraging them to write their ideas down. I mean, what was it like to care for these rabbits? I can tell you personally, it can take a large emotional toll on a person. It's a great time involvement. It kind of can be very almost overwhelming, and it is overwhelming at times. So but I want people to know that what they're feeling and the emotions that they're going to go through with dealing with this is normal. It's okay. There's support out there. There's help. There's knowledge out there from people who have done it. Under our resources, I have several categories. There's articles about community rabbits. There's a brochure that can be downloaded and passed out to the public that says, hey, this is what these guys are. These aren't cottontails. These are domestic rabbits. That is available. Website rabbits.org from British Columbia, who's done many large-scale domestic rabbit situations, has information on alternative housing for these guys. So that's on there. We have several other things on what it means to be sanctuary. Not every bunny is going to be fortunate enough to be adopted into a loving and safe home. So I believe we need to rethink what that word sanctuary means. It doesn't mean being stuck in a cage. We need to rethink that whole paradigm. Sanctuary is being kept, means providing peace, providing acceptance, allowing that animal, that rabbit, to live out their lives as in a peaceful way and in a safe way. And there's also links, of course, to the House Rabbit Society on there as well. There's lots of information, and I'm determined I'm going to get more and more information out there, especially for those colonies of abandoned rabbits. That's my mission.
That's awesome. That's a really great cause. I mean, it also, there's also, like, in this time of the year, over the last couple of years, a rabbit, the community of bunny people, as I sometimes call them, kind of gear up for what Easter brings. And, as we all, like, just drone over that, over what that usually brings. I think this is also a good way to show people in this, not the rest of the year as well, but of course in this time of the year, to say, hey, this is what you're going to get if you adopt a bunny. These are going to be your responsibilities. These are going to, this is what it's going to take, the kind of commitment. That's like the strongest word that I think, like,
yes.
The hashtag Not Just for Easter campaign, that we're also, like, kind of partnered with, and the Make Mine Chocolate campaign that we're also partnered with. That's a word that we're trying to get across to people, and kind of try to share that news as commitment, because it is. It's all day, not saying you have to be home all day, but, any time of the day, commitment, morning, during the day and at night, just like caring for any other animal. That it's just not something that you could just put in a cage and off to the side. It needs love, it needs, room to grow. Just like, I always say, just like a cat or a dog, just because those are the most common, speaking in America at least, animals that people, just kind of let free roam in their house. And then when it comes to stuff after that, it's like, well, we got to lock them up, or, only keep in a certain part of the house kind of thing.
Right. And rabbits are not a low-maintenance pet, as you've probably heard people say. And as they have become more popular, they are the third most, most euthanized, and the third most turned over animal to shelters after cats and then dogs. So the popularity is great, but we still need to, one of our goals is we need to teach people how to keep them in their homes. There are a lot of people that get a rabbit and it's very cute and cuddly when it's young, and then it grows up and it's an adolescent, don't want to have anything to do with them anymore, or they're chewing the cords. But these are problems that can be solved, and the answers and the information and education is out there. So we need to keep it circulating, keep it going, letting people know, keep those bunnies in their home and not have those rabbits abandoned.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the point of being euthanized, and I had this, a big wake-up call earlier in the week. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine from HRS Chicago. We talked on the phone for a little bit about this other rescue that we're kind of, just trying to keep tabs on them and their activities, because they are a rescue that does euthanize. And I've gotten my 2 bunnies that I have now from that rescue, adopted them about 2 months apart. And that's a huge wake-up call, like, wow, they might not still be here.
Yes.
And, the rescue does do transfers to, other rescues in the area. So that's what I hope they do. but they had I'm leaving their name out of it right now, just to not,
Sure, yeah.
Because we're still working on keeping tabs on them. It's just they saw the report came out. I don't know what the report is called per se. Maybe you do, but like their yearly euthanization numbers or something like that, and they were really crazy high, and that was pretty scary. And there is no direct number on rabbits because it was just like listed under other, and other for them can be like little birds or mice or hamsters or gerbils, and then rabbits. So
right. That's what you're saying is unfortunately common.
Yeah.
It's common practice sometimes when rabbits come into shelters. We know that they are often not even registered with the shelter or given a number, which makes statistics on bunnies also very difficult to gather, because you really don't know. Shelters don't have an accurate count. I mean, there are a few that do, but many that do not, and we also don't know how many are abandoned. So it's hard to get the stats, but we know that it's up there, and the evidence is all around. It's around when you look at shelters that are full, when rescue groups are tight and just have such a hard time saying no to that last little one that they want to help them, because there's always going to be more. So,
yeah.
What we all need to do when we look at each other and what each other's doing to help the rabbits is to bring out the best. I'm a firm believer in we have enough bunnies, enough problems with animals being dumped and abandoned and euthanized for everybody to be able to do something.
Exactly.
So look at what's in front of you first. Do that. And then when there's another rescue or a shelter that's really not quite up to par, I think if you can get in there, find out how you can help. It may just be something very small that can make a great change. Maybe it's just kindness to somebody who feels like they're the terrible bad guy. So, it's not only just being kind and considerate and reaching out to animals and to rabbits. It's the same for the people. And we need each other to basically get over the tipping point with this.
Yeah, it's I when you talked about helping out, it made me think the person with HRS Chicago and I had a discussion about, hey, maybe I should just like register as a volunteer. And I said, that's not a bad idea. And they said, whatever help you can to help them out is grateful, which is good, which I might do. I might be leaning towards that, but at the same time, it is pretty scary that if I have to. I'm not saying I would be the person to. I don't think like volunteers that work at places that euthanize actually do it, but see that, see him go to the, quote unquote, to like the back and not see him come back. So I know that's one thing that's kind of scary to me to kind of witness if I was to volunteer there.
Right.
I mean, before I found out about it, I was really considering it because I haven't done it, and I've been always wanting to do it, at least do like maybe a couple Saturdays a month or something, to help out in any way I can. And then I found out about those numbers, and it's just not everything is clear cut there of what's going on. So I'm kind of leaning towards kind of figuring out what's going on before I go in there and put on a volunteer shirt.
Sure. I think that you bring up a really very important point for each of us, and that is to really feel inside what we can give. I wouldn't put myself in a situation where you feel defeated and heartbroken. I mean, there's joy in helping animals, and that's what we're going to find. Not everybody is ready, is capable, or even wants to, or belongs in a place as you're describing, where there's a high euthanasia rate. So there's lots and lots of other things to do that can impact that.
Yeah.
So whether you're somebody who makes toys for the rabbits, does that, you have an important job. You're hosting this Bunnyzine podcast and getting out there. So you're doing well, I would say, Randy. So if
Thank you.
that's not the place for you, find your spot, because believe me, we need everyone. Everyone has gifts and talents, and not everyone is meant to be right there on that bottom line place. It's just not for everybody. You, as a caring and interested person, you have to balance that somehow. Use your own talents, your own strengths, and you will find those, and we'll all find those. We don't all belong in the same spot.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone's got a different talent to help out.
Yes.
So, to kind of close everything out, with the website, because that's, I feel like that's like the least thing we've kind of talked about in this episode. But at the same, we've talked about so much. But it's a very, very good conversation that I think pertains to everyone, in some way.
Yeah.
To close
the website, I'm still would love donations for the billboard campaign, and that can be accessed on the website under campaigns.
Okay.
So I'm working on that important project right now. I have some other ideas in my mind that'll hopefully evolve here, and always looking at how can we place some of these rabbits that are abandoned and have grown into these large colonies. It's a particular passion of mine, so that will be one area that I will personally be concentrating on this website.
Awesome. I mean, I think you pretty much hit the, nailed it, because my question was going to be like you pretty much stated it earlier in the episode, but what the future goals were going to be for the website, and how you would want the website to expand, like, when it expands, how would you want the website to look, and, what would it be the website's goals?
Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad I made that point.
Yeah, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, was there anything else that you wanted to share with us about the website?
Let's see.
I mean,
just that it is open to everyone, and that if you would like some of the material on that, it can be downloaded. I would like it to be used for the good of the rabbits and the help and to help them. So let me make that clear. Use that information for the good.
Awesome. Well,
that's about it.
Oh, that's great, Debbie. I'm glad we worked this out and we were able to do the show. It should be, like I said, it's Wednesday the 17th, probably maybe next Monday or Tuesday. And then I will contact, just let you know. And you're more than welcome to post it on the website. It'll be on it'll be on YouTube. I'll send you the links and all that.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and then you guys are more than welcome to share it. It helps out the show as well, with getting recognition for the show.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
No, I think
I will definitely do that.
I thank you for providing a resource for people out there to use when it comes to bunnies. With again, the website for the audience is don'tdumprabbits.org. Again, that's don'tdumprabbits.org. And Debbie, thank you for being on the show, and I will talk to you later.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Thank you, Andy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Again, that was Debbie with don'tdumprabbits.org. I'm really glad we got that episode in with Debbie. We had as I said in the beginning, an issue with, it was just stupid cell phone issues, as I have everyone on speaker on my cell phone when I do these shows. So that was awesome. Again, there will be another recording coming out maybe 4 or 5 days after this one that will pertain to the topics of children with bunnies, and the other topic is I'm drawing a blank. Children with bunnies. Sorry, got a slight cough. Children with bunnies and bunnies with I can't believe I'm drawing a blank at the end of the show. We got so much information from Debbie that my mind is boggled on my topic. Children with bunnies and pet stores. Jeez, I don't know why I couldn't spit that out. That'll be fun to listen to again at the end of the show. Just going over the 1 hour mark. So again, that will be the next recording. Pet stores and my frustration with them and my experience. And then children with bunnies, where I'll share your guys' experience, because I did polls on Twitter about it. So again, thanks for the people on Twitter that voted on those 2 polls to help us out. And I'll share those results of those polls on that recording. Again, check out the February issue with Tiff and Chaney on the cover. With the February issue, the Love Buns. Las Vegas House Rabbit Society, as Debbie and I talked about, are the featured rescue of the issue. So if you can, please donate to Las Vegas HRS to help. They obviously have a very big problem that I did not know about up until this episode out in Las Vegas. That is a ton of abandoned rabbits, as I'm sure there's other problems in other places. But Las Vegas in particular, I've been there in those conditions, and just walking around on the Las Vegas Strip, I had to take breaks. I was sweating to death, especially. I guess people do get used to it if you live out there, but man, I know there was a time or two where I had to lay down in bed because the heat was just overbearing, and I was not feeling good. You have to stay hydrated. I don't know how the bunnies do it in that area, but obviously rescues in that area need help. So Las Vegas is, it's a perfect, it just happens to be that we're talking about them, about Las Vegas House Rabbit Society and their feature rescue. So please help out Las Vegas House Rabbit Society if you can. And again, we are at Official Bzine on Twitter, Official Bunnyzine on Instagram, one word, Official Bunnyzine, and then Bunnyzine on Facebook. Like us and follow us on those. You could find the Bunnyzine BZCast on YouTube.com, SoundCloud.com, and on iTunes. If you subscribe, I've said it in the past, but I haven't said it in a while. If you subscribe on iTunes, it will download to whatever you listen to iTunes off of, whether it's your phone, your iPad, your laptop, right away if you're a subscriber of our Bunnyzine BZCast channel. If that's your preferred format. I actually found out, I actually wanted to talk about this real quick before I close it out, that we do have a lot of people that watch it on SoundCloud. I cannot see the amount of views on iTunes or downloads, but I can see the amount of views on SoundCloud and YouTube. And YouTube, they're relatively low. Some episodes are good, and but SoundCloud has a pretty consistent following. So I guess you guys do use SoundCloud. I've said it in the past that if you have the SoundCloud app, or you just go on the internet site on your phone and you play it, you can play it and lock your phone and do other things. Same thing with iTunes. If you have iTunes and the podcast app, that's built into your iPhone, you can literally just hit play, put, headphones on or put it on speaker and do whatever else you're doing. I love doing it. I'm a podcast listener. So I listen to podcasts while I'm working out at the gym or doing other things in the house. While I'm taking care of the bunnies, I'll have headphones on listening to podcasts. And that's one of the great things I love about the different formats that we offer. And YouTube, if you're just someone who's on YouTube and you prefer YouTube and you like to see some visuals, or we don't put a lot on our videos on YouTube, but we do put some, mostly that visuals pertain to our current issue that's out, the current issue of the month, and the visuals pertain to the guest / topic of the show. So again, everyone, thank you for listening. Again, look forward to an episode about 4 or 5 days after you hear this one about pet stores and children and bunnies. Again, thank you guys for listening. Talk to you later.